Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through.
No, press the button. It should be. It works.
Okay, here we go. Once more, welcome. I don't know just why, but this is an exciting morning. I hope you feel that way. I really do. If this is your first time attending a Unity service, a special, special welcome to you. You might be sitting here in our building. You might be in your living room on Zoom. For all I know, you are a being in the galactic universe. It's possible. Isn't that exciting? I think so. I have been thinking about what it would be like to be Leonardo da Vinci today, if he were able to come back today. Now, it was centuries ago that he had the insight, the intelligence, the awareness, the curiosity, the imagination to think about flight, the possibility of humans flying. And he drew incredibly accurate descriptions of what it would be for an object to fly. Now, can you imagine what it would be like to be him standing at Cape Canaveral and watching a rocket fly into space and see it on a television screen landing on the moon and waiting for signals from Mars to come back and be translated? I mean, wow. Incredulous, grateful, certainly surprised. I had an experience last week about how disorienting such changes can be. My daughters and I went to Madison. Now, Madison's a very familiar place to us, so we thought. It's been a while, maybe 4 years at least, since I've been there. But it's where I grew up. It's where their early childhood was spent. So we have lots of memories, lots of landmarks. And a lot of those landmarks have disappeared. And it was really disorienting, as well as some sadness and emotion about it all. If you're new to Unity, if this is your very first experience, you could be experiencing some of that disorientation too. This building doesn't look like a traditional cathedral kind of building. Some of the language is different. Some of the ideas are different. But hang in there, and little by little, you'll get it, I promise. And what a difference in your life it will make. So come back, okay? So now we get on with our service, and that includes reciting together our mission, vision, and value statements. And they're posted on the board up here on the screen. So, our vision for Unity, a world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual practice. And our mission, advancing movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our value statement, abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. And we celebrate children, our own, and all of the children within each one of us, actually, with this statement. Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. And we move on to the Daily Word. The Daily Word is published in a magazine called The Daily Word, and this is what it says for today. The theme is generous. As I give, I share God's abundance. The limitless resources of infinite spirit flow through my loving heart and clear mind as a never-ending supply of divine ideas. I always have all that I need to live abundantly, and I share my abundance with others joyfully and freely. I give generously of my resources, talents, and skills, happy to support those I care about. I am generous with praise, gratitude, and encouragement. I give generously of my time. I'm a good friend, a devoted family member, and a compassionate listener. Whenever I give without thought of reciprocation, I center myself in the divine flow. I am a grateful, trusting recipient of Spirit's unfailing generosity and a conduit through which all of God's blessings flow. And from the Bible, the book of Proverbs, a generous person will be enriched, and one who gives water will get water. There you have it. And now on to another song.
When I'm feeling blue, all I have to do is see the love in you. Then I'm not so blue. No, when we're together, there's nothing we can't weather. We can change the whole world, me and you. Wouldn't you agree? Everyone you see shares a groovy kind of love. Shares a groovy kind of love. Anytime you want to, you can turn your mind to all that lies within you. Anytime at all, when the world feels crazy, everything is hazy, you can turn within and turn it on. Wouldn't you agree? Everyone you see shares a groovy kind of love. Shares a groovy kind of love. When I'm feeling blue, all I got to do is see the love in you. Then I'm not so blue. When we go within, we find the things that matter. All our fears will shatter if we try. Wouldn't you agree? Everyone you see shares a groovy kind of love. We share a groovy kind of love. We share a groovy kind of love.
So from my heart to your heart, a groovy kind of love. And now I get to introduce Reverend Evin Wilkins. We're going to have our service on Zoom today. He is sitting somewhere, I'm guessing, at home in his living room. Reverend Wilkins has spoken here before, actually in person, earlier this summer, maybe spring. He is a graduate of the Unity Urban Ministerial School and an ordained Unity minister. He's the co-minister of Courageous Living in Unity, a new alternative unity ministry. Evin enjoys spending time with his wife, Mindy, and their furbabies, reading, writing, yoga, shamanic studies, and learning to play the guitar. And there he is in person. There is Reverend Evin. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? I am coming to you from Washington State. So she wasn't far off. I'm in my office at my home, but I'm in Washington State. So it's good to see you all again here at the Unity of Appleton. And for those of you I've met in person, it's good to see you again. For those I haven't met in person, I'm delighted to meet you, even if only from afar this morning. So it's kind of funny that y'all were singing about the groovy kind of love, because I didn't give a talk title. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about until the night before. And this happened to be one of those instances, but I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm going to prove how spirit works through synchronicity. So let's get started today. I want to start with talking about a quote that so many of us are familiar with. That quote is, "Laughter is the best medicine." And I agree with that, but I don't. I agree with the fact that I think laughter is an excellent medicine, but I also don't believe that it's the only medicine. There are so many great medicines out there, and I want to talk about one of them today. Are y'all ready? Y'all game for this? And I might use the word y'all a lot because I'm originally from Texas, so y'all just kind of bear with me here. But anyway, there's a story about Jesus in the Bible. Actually, there's lots of stories about Jesus in the Bible, but right now I'm only referring to one of them. And this one is found in the book of Mark, and it's Mark 12, 28 through 29. Somebody comes up to Jesus and says, ask about his commandments and ask which one is the most important. And Jesus tells him, he says, the most important one is this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. So today I really want to focus on the second half of that, which talks about one of those medicines I was referring to earlier, which is love. The verse says to love your neighbor as yourself. And while I think we likely need a little bit more love in general, I think probably one of the things we can all agree on is that loving one another is something that would probably do us all a little bit of good right now. So I believe that we're moving into this time of opportunity, a time where we can take our namesake of unity and use it to bring true unity to the lives that we interact with on a daily basis, the lives that we touch, just going about our everyday lives. In his book, Christian Healing, Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore says this about love. He says, love in divine mind is the idea of universal unity. In expression, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. So I've had many people come up to me lately and talk to me about their hurting, about this hurt that they feel. We're going through some times in our world right now, and those times are cracking open wounds. And I'm not talking about just a little bit. They're cracking these wounds wide open. And we're going to need to clean those wounds so that we can allow them to heal. So I don't think there's any of us that would argue the fact that these past handful of years in our country have been really trying for a lot of us, right? We're witnessing the words of the Bible being twisted around to justify, unkind and even sometimes just downright hateful actions, right? And oftentimes those actions are chosen due to fear of what we don't always understand. We sometimes perceive someone as maybe just a little bit different than ourselves, and it can make us fearful. It can lead us to become fearful to where we allow fear to drive us to actions that are sometimes just a little bit outside of those boundaries of love. In words, our words, especially when they're spoken out of love, they can cause true damage and hurt to other people. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that lately. And I've had people ask me why. Our principles here at Unity teach us that we're all inherently good. So why is it that some choose to not act like the good that we are? Of course, I can't answer that question for everybody with complete certainty. I'd probably be a millionaire if I could. But what I do know is that we make choices. And those choices may lead us away from the good that we are. It's not that we actually stop being the good that we are. We may just tend to start to forget a little, or we may start to just forget a little bit. And when we forget, we begin to modify our behaviors to fit that narrative, whether it's really even true or not. I do also believe that we are all here in this lifetime to help evolve the planet and our consciousness. I believe that some have chosen a path to where they know they aren't going to be necessarily liked by all, but that doesn't mean that they're not doing their part to help us evolve. That's a whole other talk for another time, but I recently had a conversation with another minister, and it was a minister about reclaiming Christianity. Reclaiming it for the teachings that Jesus taught, reclaiming it to love all, not just a few, but all, because that's what matters. And that's why I fully believe that we are here right now during this time. So many of us have felt grief over the past few years. We've felt hurt. We felt anger. You may even feel fear, and you may even see it in others as well. Maybe your family members or even those you pass on the street. There's fear of change, fear of what I mentioned earlier, those that we perceive as different. It could really be anything. But I believe that so many of us are feeling these things right now because we need to heal. Not just necessarily individually, but collectively. We want to heal. It's part of why we're here. And one of the reasons we want to heal is because we don't like the way those things have felt, right? They don't feel good. We know the divisions and the hurt that we're witnessing in the world right now must be healed because it's not who we are. And it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel right. It's because we're out of alignment when we feel this way. It's because we're not currently in that flow of love, of that groovy kind of love. So the task becomes on how to get back into that flow, especially when things can seem anything but at the moment, right? But first, it's important to note that there is a distinction in types of love. One is what Charles Fillmore terms human love. Now, human love, the way I describe it, it's that ooey gooey stuff you feel on Valentine's Day. When we get chocolates and all that kind of stuff. But while there's nothing wrong with that kind of love is subject to change, right? Not that you'll necessarily stop loving your Valentine, but it's likely to not always remain that ooey gooey type. It changes and it evolves over the course of time. Charles Fillmore described it as based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. So we also must rid ourselves of the notion that it means we feel a Valentine type of love radiating out all the time at every moment. That we always feel this wonderful ooey gooey love toward everyone and everything. I used to think that way. I think that I must have been doing something wrong because I didn't always feel those lovey-dovey feelings towards everyone all the time. But that's not what this is. So first, it's acknowledging that you don't have to feel that ooey-gooey, lovey-dovey feeling all the time towards everyone. The other is divine love. Now, this is the kind of love that Jesus often spoke of. Divine love doesn't change the way that human love does. It's selfless. It's unchangeable. It's not subject to jealousy. Charles Fillmore tells us that divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal and harmonizing power. By establishing ourselves in the consciousness of divine love and expressing that love at all times, we're helped to fulfill the command. Love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. So it's not trading this human version of love in hopes that we'll receive it in return. Divine love becomes more of a consciousness. It's more of an outpouring and a radiance of one of our very own attributes. So if you're new to Unity, or if you've been around Unity for a while, one of our Unity 5 principles is one that I mentioned earlier, that we are all inherently good. And the same goes for love, that we are all inherently love. 1 John 4:7 of the Bible tells us, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." So we are all born of this God presence. We are all the essence of God. Therefore, we are all inherently a part of divine love. So the first task of being that divine love is within a realization. The realization that we are all this divine love. Each and every one of us right here, right now, having this human experience. I may not agree with what you're doing. I may not agree with what you're saying and vice versa. But it doesn't change the fact that we are all an essence of God. Therefore, we are all divine love. And it's knowing that. Even when we may not want to feel it, even when we may not want to see it, we are all divine love. Jesus was also having this very human experience just like the rest of us. And I'm sure he interacted with people that he may not have overly cared for in the moment. There may have been people that rubbed him wrong. I'm sure there were people out there that tested his patience. And I'm sure if any of you are familiar with the Bible, you may remember the biblical story of the man by the pool. This pool was said to have these healing properties in it. And all day long, this man laid by the pool, and he was just watching people get in and out of it, healing themselves. He wanted healing as well, but he just laid there. So Jesus goes up to him and asks him, he's like, "Why do you lay there?" And the guy's like, "Well, nobody's helped me into the pool." And Jesus looks at him and basically asks him, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Jesus basically asked him, "Well, do you want to be healed or not? Rise up, take your bed, and walk." Jesus may have worded it differently by today's standards. He may have said, "Listen, dude, what's your deal? Get yourself up and walk." So we remember that we don't put all of this pressure on ourselves to think that love has to always meet this definition of human love, because it doesn't. It's knowing that we are all divine love, whether we feel human love toward another person or not. Another way we can practice divine love is by having faith in it, knowing that it can and it does bring healing. And it does this in a couple of ways. So I mentioned fear earlier. First, there's no place for fear in divine love. I think most of us could just look around right now and see what fear has done and what fear continues to do. Fear of those perceived as the other has fueled much of what we've seen in not only our own politics, but those in other countries as well. Fear has also been driving the factor for using the Bible as a weapon, for passing laws and legislation that hurts other people. And that's not coming from the divine love that Jesus spoke of. It's not coming from anyone's true nature. It's coming from fear. And there is no room for that kind of fear in divine love. 1 John 4:18 tells us perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves punishment, and the one who fears is not perfected in love. Another way we practice divine love is through the eyes of Jesus, who is our master teacher and our master metaphysician here at Unity. Jesus was the person who eventually realized his Christ nature. Ephesians 3:17 of the Bible, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, and that you being rooted and grounded in love. Now this makes me think about, I was raised in a Baptist church, and it makes me think about those traditional bracelets that more traditional Christians used to wear. And you may have seen them or be familiar with them, but they had the acronym on them of WWJD. And I think that acronym could serve all of us well, because it was actually a question that was meant to serve as a reminder. It stood for, what would Jesus do? And I ask asked myself that question a lot lately, especially when I get into discussions about what it truly means to be a Christian. Because that's what it all really goes back to, doesn't it? Jesus didn't realize his Christ nature by calling people names or by being a bully or by telling people that they didn't matter because they're Muslim instead of Christian, because they're born a specific gender, or because they don't believe or think or feel the way everyone else does, at least not in anything that I've found. The Bible doesn't mention that Jesus walked up to the man in the pool and asked his denomination before he healed them. Jesus also ordained women. So the notion of telling women what they can and can't do just doesn't hold water. But maybe now is a time for a good reminder. Maybe it's time to dust off those old WWJD bracelets and to really ask ourselves what Jesus would do. Ask ourselves if we are also living within our true Christ nature, our very own Christ nature. And the hint I'll give here today is if it's hurting someone else, it's not. Because that's not what being a Christian is all about. That's not what divine love is all about. So today we have the choice. We actually have the choice moment by moment as we navigate through life. We can ask ourselves the question, am I acting true to divine love? The divine love that I inherently am? Or am I perhaps acting outside of its borders, allowing fear to run my life? So to kind of quote a favorite song of mine, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And you, my friend, you can be that love. And I want to end with a quote by one of my favorites, which is Ram Dass. Ram Dass said, "Unconditional love really exists in each of us. It is part of our deep inner being. It is not so much an active emotion as a state of being. It's not I love you for this or that reason, not I love you if you love me. It's love for no reason, love without objection." Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Evin. I now invite you to begin to prepare yourself for reflective personal prayer and guided musical meditation, after which I ask that you remain in essential silence during the music. If you choose to, you may close your eyes. Feel the weight of your body as it relaxes into your chair and you let go of today's anxieties. Feel your feet on the solid earth beneath as you let go of tomorrow's worries. Become aware in this moment of your breathing. As you breathe in life and breathe out love. Breathe in life and breathe out love. And as you become centered, focus your attention on your beautiful heart, your beautiful Christ self. Become filled with gratitude and allow into yourself that which fills you with peace and light. And so we begin. gently return to this place.
And now it is time to receive our gifts, our affirmation of prosperity. Wow, it was hard to come out of that. Tom, that music was absolutely heart-thrilling. Thank you. That's a part of our prosperity, right? Yeah. So now we move from meditation to our affirmation of prosperity. This is the time in our service when those of us who think of Unity of Appleton as our spiritual home practice putting spirit first in our financial life. We know that when we do this, not only does it prosper the spiritual community we love, it also supports our own spiritual growth and prosperity. Let this be the time to connect with the guidance of Spirit in you and give whatever amount Spirit guides you to give. Whatever that amount is this morning, take it in your hand and bless it with your love, your groovy kind of love. If you're one of the growing numbers of us who give electronically, you might take the gift in your hand. Feel free to bless the plate as it passes by, and let yourself feel as grateful as you can to God, in you, as your source. Then please join in the affirmation of our prosperity. It is above you to read. Unity of Appleton is alive with the Spirit in the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And our precious celebration of giving and receiving. Holding it in your hand, imagining it in your hand, feeling your hands heavy with it, and emptying it into the plate. And so together we bless it by acknowledging that it's divine love in and through me that blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source. And so that is. And another spiritual song.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be
will be easy with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child.
Announcements. And they are up here above to be read. And it is about our Facebook presence. Another chance to go galactic, folks. Are you part of our community that participates through Facebook or YouTube? We're grateful for your presence. Have you been inspired or uplifted by Unity's messages, music, or meditations? Please consider becoming a financial supporter by donating at unityofappleton.org or by setting up bill pay through your financial institution. Your donations help us thrive. Oh, there must be more. Yep. Since the sound immersion with Karen Pujals was such a success, she's coming back for solo gigs. New Moon event this Thursday, July 4th, the full moon event, 14th. July 14th, I'm sorry. And then the full moon event on July 28th. Both events will be capped at 22 participants. The fee, $25, will be collected at the door the evening of the event. But you do need to sign up via email at unityofappleton.org or on a sign-up sheet at the Connect and Serve table. That capping it at 22 is important just due to space and air quality and all of those sorts of things. So sign up right away. It was a full house last time. Arrive earlier than 7 to get settled in, and do bring a water, a yoga mat, a blanket, pillows, whatever you need for your own comfort. The more relaxed you are, the more that sound vibration can get in. Okay? And there are t-shirts and hoodies available for sale. On the coat rack right back here are limited edition shirts that will show your Unity pride. Payment can be made in the offering plate. Please note if it's for a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. Shake up your comfort zone and sign up for something. Check out the Connect and Serve table for sacred service. Questions? Ask a board member. Speaking of opportunities, announcing the reformation of the Spiritual Social Action Team. The SSAT's goal is to make Unity of Appleton more visible in our surrounding area by outreach opportunities. For example, having a booth at events, volunteering at a food pantry. If that sounds interesting, sign up at the Connect and Serve table. Hate social media? Even if you hate it, our social media presence is important. It's how we let people know we exist. For example, only about 100 people open our Unity Connections newsletter each week. Facebook says that last month we reached almost 700 people. Social media works to let people know about us. And you can help by following and commenting on Unity of Appleton posts. Paige, who provides all of that service for us, tries to post daily because that makes us more likely to show up on a search for anything Unity online. Please make an Instagram account if you don't have one and follow Unity of Appleton. The more followers we get, the more visible our presence is online. The more people know about us, the better our chances they have here to check us out. And those little dashes are important. Okay, I just have to comment about something. On the CBS morning show today, talking about getting up, if you're at the pool and you think you can't get up and get healed, there was an episode about a dog who I guess through an accident, its front legs had been dismembered from its body. Its owners had a contraption made so that it could move on wheels, but that necessitated help from a human being. Well, one morning its owner was not present. She'd gone back into the house. They were sitting on the porch. Got to set this up right. They were sitting on the porch, dog and owner. Owner went into the house to do something, came out, and there was no dog. At that point, the dog wasn't hooked up to this contraption. The dog had gotten up onto its back legs and feet, walked down several steps, and was just walking around. And it does that. It goes on walks on its hind legs and has become quite the town celebrity. In parades, the whole gamut. So, you know what? If a dog can do that, I think we can too. Go for it. Okay. And now our prayer of protection. On your heart with your hands, in the air with your hands, however you want to do it, stand up, full of energy. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Okay. As you live and move and have your being in spirit, yeah. One more song here.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. I just want to thank you, love.
So, Kentucky people, do we still have Reverend Evin with us? Okay. Okay, I'll give a little intro while we're waiting for him to get up on the screen here. For most of you are aware,